And I figured, why not write about folks that I love to see in the movies and on TV? And then I said, wouldn't it be fun to write a poem from the perspective of a house, or maybe the perspective of a whale or an airplane, and have some fun with it and use my observation skills and dig deep and look for the theme, which is being an other in a place where a lot of people don't understand you. And then I have a shark poem from Finding Nemo, Bruce the shark, and in that poem, Bruce is not like his father. And then I'm looking at all the other subjects. And I said, wow, there's a lot of fatherless subjects. So that's something to grab a hold of. It's more about fathers and the influence they have or don't have on their children. Darth Vader never knew his father. Bruce the shark never knew his father. And that provided an opportunity to section off the poems. But when I was writing these poems, I never felt scared, except for the lesbians next door. I was so scared my lesbian friends would hate it. It turned out they loved it because it's about lesbian heroes. And it's not, but I was so scared. I was like, I think I'm offended a whole community. But because it's honest and it's coming from a child's perspective. And they said, you did fine. But I was afraid of, that's the only poem I was afraid that somebody else really would hate. But I never was afraid with the other subjects. And I've learned that when I first write a poem and I read it at an open mic and the reactions I get are so-so, and then I know I have to go back and revise it, even though I feel it, I'm so great. It's such a great, so no, I have to cut it and make it better because it's missing something. It's missing an image. I'm being too direct. I'm being too literal. There's not a secret sauce in there. Because when you're a new poet, you're so fearful that no one will get it. I mean, you can be real obscure and that's not good either, but I'm an editor, so when I'm a coach, and I see this all the time where I'm cutting and cutting and cutting because the author doesn't know that they can say a lot in fewer words. And that's where I feel that I've learned and I've grown. A lot of folks who have never, they've had poetry in school, but they're scared of it because there's a lot of tricky poetry out there. And they don't know that poetry, tricky poems are great, but if you want to get folks on board with poetry, showing a tricky poem that has language complexities is not going to grab them, I'm sorry. The poet will sell the poetry books. It's about the person's likability and are they warm, are they able to communicate? And if you're cold and rigid in a poetry reading, you'll get admirers, but you may not get that bridge of people who have never, ever heard poetry before. And I'd rather, if I sell 4 books of poetry, which is not a lot, I'd rather get all 4 be new people to me.